Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. We're going to unpack a truly fascinating 2022 philosophical text by Su Feng, titled The Foundations of Human Integrity. Essentially, we're looking at a highly structured framework designed to help individuals maintain their character, their sanity, and their integrity when the world around them feels like it's just spinning totally out of control. So if you love discovering clear, structured ways to look at complex human behavior, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. Right out of the gate, the author establishes the entire premise of this philosophy. Su Feng suggests that modern society is currently filled with unrest, incredibly complex values, and just profound confusion. And the core argument here is that the more chaotic and morally corrupt the era around you becomes, the more vital it is to fiercely protect your own integrity. It's essentially an inside-out approach to surviving a turbulent world.
So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll quickly walk through the anchor in chaos, redefining human integrity, Pillar 1, inner character, Pillar 2, interpersonal harmony, Pillar 3, society and spirit, and finally, the ultimate destination.
All right, let's kick things off with Part 1, the anchor in chaos.
Moving right along to Part 2, redefining human integrity.
Before we get to the actual rules of how to behave, it's super important to understand exactly who this framework was built for in the first place. The author wrote this specifically for people facing intense personal adversity. We're talking about individuals dealing with depression, poverty, illness, and widespread social anxiety. So, this isn't some abstract philosophy for comfortable times, right? It's a practical anchor for people who are feeling helpless. And for those people, the text forces a complete rethink of what the actual goal of being human even is. What's really interesting here is the stark contrast. According to the text, being a human is not about being a good or kind person just for vanity. It's definitely not about achieving high status, making a fortune, or constantly pleasing others just to get their praise. Instead, the true goal is to live with dignity, to have genuine peace of mind, and to be truly human. The author explicitly warns that failing to do this means you risk living not like a human, but literally like a ghost, a demon, a monster, or a beast.
So how exactly do we avoid becoming a monster and actually achieve this true human state? To get there, the text outlines exactly 28 fundamental principles. Yep, 28 specific rules for navigating life.
Now, instead of just reading a giant list of all 28 rules at you, which, let's be real, wouldn't be very helpful, we've organized them into a visual framework of 3 core pillars of behavior. Pillar 1 focuses on the inner self, aiming for inner peace. Pillar 2 focuses on harmonious relations, which is all about building boundaries and trust. And Pillar 3 expands to society and spirit, aiming for overall auspiciousness. Let's unpack the key takeaways from each one of these.
That brings us to Part 3, Pillar 1, Inner Character. Okay, so this first grouping of rules focuses strictly on your individual self, your work ethic, and your internal mindset. The absolute crucial point here is self-reliance and the total rejection of vanity. The text says you should only undertake tasks you're actually capable of doing well. You must do what you truly enjoy from the depths of your heart, refusing to be led blindly by the pursuit of money. You're instructed to use only what you earn through your own hard labor, so taking 0 unearned advantages. It also demands that you learn to accept things as they are without constantly scheming for these grand, unrealistic achievements. Plus, you need to foster independent thinking and entrepreneurship from a young age. It is all about grounding yourself in reality and your own honest effort.
Next up is Part 4, Pillar 2, interpersonal harmony.
So once your inner self is anchored, the framework shifts to govern how you interact with the people immediately around you. And the golden rule for this second pillar is honestly pretty blunt. Never attempt to change others. In any situation, at any time, harmony is paramount. The text tells us we have to act in accordance with our nature, associate with people through natural relationships, and just accept things as they come without trying to force change upon anyone else.
Building on that sense of harmony, we see some highly specific relationship rules. For example, you must show eternal gratitude to parents, teachers, and anyone who offers you even a single drop of help. You absolutely must respect privacy, no prying into letters, phones, or gossip, especially with close partners. You should yield to elders and women, and you need to cultivate at least 2 sincere, mutually supportive friends. But listen to this, because here is the most severe warning in the entire text. Never break a promise. The author states that a single breach of trust is basically impossible to remedy. Once you break a promise, the text warns, your life is essentially ruined. That is a massive reminder of how much weight this philosophy places on a person's word.
And we've arrived at Part 5, Pillar 3, Society and Spirit.
This final pillar extends your integrity outward. It connects your personal behavior to the broader community, the law, and even the spiritual realm. And I think this brilliantly illustrates how the framework blends strict earthly rule following with this deep spiritual reverence. You're instructed to never pocket items you find on the ground, to completely avoid any criminal, gambling, or rebellious organizations, and to gracefully adapt to local customs rather than being stubborn. You are also commanded to respect deities, Buddhas, celestials, and saints. But notice this very strict baseline. You must obey laws and regulations, even if 99 out of 100 people around you are completely disregarding them. Your integrity just isn't dependent on what the crowd is doing.
Now, within this third pillar regarding society and law, there is one very specific and perhaps surprising rule I want to quickly highlight. The text explicitly states, "Do not voluntarily report the crimes of close relatives to the authorities." We're presenting this exactly as it appears in the source material to show how this framework organizes its values. While it demands strict adherence to the law most of the time, it simultaneously places family loyalty in a highly unique, protected position within its moral hierarchy.
Which brings us to Part 6, the ultimate spiritual destination.
Look, following 28 strict rules is incredibly difficult, for sure, especially when the author acknowledges that we often feel completely helpless in this chaotic world. So, what is the actual payoff for all this discipline? Well, the text maps out a very clear 4-step journey. The author points out that while our physical bodies might be helpless against the world's chaos, our hearts are completely within our control. Step 1 is simply adhering to these 28 earthly principles. By doing this, you trigger Step 2. You gradually distance yourself from suffering and calamities. This naturally flows right into Step 3, moving your life toward good fortune and auspiciousness. But the journey doesn't end on Earth. Step 4 is the ultimate destination. This earthly integrity acts as the vital foundation for future spiritual cultivation, ultimately setting you on the path toward heaven to become celestial beings or Buddhas.
Man, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, distilling a really complex 28-point philosophy into 3 actionable pillars: inner character, interpersonal harmony, and societal reverence. As Shuafeng points out, the world out there can be incredibly chaotic, but how we respond to it always remains our choice. So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. In an era of shifting values, what truly anchors your integrity? Thank you so much for joining me and diving into this explainer today. Keep seeking, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.